Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Sports Empire Network. This is your boy Freddie Henderson from the Freddie Facts. You can catch me this week. I will be dropping another episode. I know you've been waiting, but I'm back. Don't worry, I'm still here. And I have a veteran cast with me today. My brother Chris from another mother. What's going on, Chris?
What up, Freddie? Happy to be here on the afternoon show, the afternoon rundown.
Yes, sir. Then we have Jonathan. What's going on? But they call you JG. What's going on, JG? What's going on, my brother?
Doing good, doing good. Like to be on the show with you guys this afternoon. A little different for me right now.
Yes, sir. Then we'll have our senior analyst, Mo Money, Mo Better, Mo. What's going on, Mo?
My day just got better, Freddie. I found out another episode of Freddie Facts is coming. I can't wait. I'm pumped now. You're making us wait too long.
Hey, Mo, you know what he say? We got to give what the people want. They've been begging, they've been asking for Freddie Facts, so I'm gonna put something together. It's coming, it's in the works, you guys. Don't worry. Um, but let's get into it. I'm super pumped. I'm super excited. I was waiting this morning to get on the show to talk about this. Mo and Chris already talked about it, gave me their opinions, but I want to go more in depth. I want to go more in depth, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about this Trey Lance to Dallas situation. And, I'm going to tell you, this is the craziest thing I ever heard of. Like, I just want to know, why would San Francisco, a few years ago, give up what they gave up to draft this kid, number 3 overall. He gets hurt. He has no chance to show his worth at all. He didn't have a chance. He didn't even get a good chance to pass gas before they traded this man. This man didn't have he didn't even get a chance to get paid before they traded this brother. I'm just saying, San Francisco was willing to wait. They gave Jimmy G his time, but they wasn't willing to give this guy his time to see what he got. And granted, I understand. I've heard a lot of people say San Francisco offense is hard to learn. It's not the easiest to learn because Kyle Shanahan runs a very detailed offense. We understand all that. But to me, you do not give up on a young man like him, especially when you already lost Jimmy G earlier in the offseason. You don't just lose. And I understand it because say, oh, well, they got Purdy. I'm not all in on the Purdy hype. I'm really not. We've seen 1 year. We've seen one good year out of Purdy. We've seen him have good moments. We've seen him have big moments. But my question is, are we sure that's what you're going to get this year? Are we sure that was not a fluke? I'm just asking. Jonathan, what was your reaction?
No, it's not an overreaction to what you said as far as Brock Purdy. We don't know what Brock Purdy is going to be, especially coming after an elbow injury, which is a very severe elbow injury. And I know it's a little bit different in football. Having a UCL injury in baseball, that's a panic injury in baseball. So it's a little bit in uncharted territory in a way for football, for quarterbacks to have that kind of injury. At the same time, is we now have film on Brock Purdy a little bit more in depth that these defensive coordinators are going to have on him, so they're going to be able to game plan a little bit better. In regards of Trey Lance, I get the reasoning why they gave up what they did on trading him now, because the thought process as I'm looking at it, I remember actually during the scouting portion of that draft, there was a lot of comparisons in a way to Josh Allen that Trey Lance had. And it was more of small school, limited playing time. If I'm looking at Josh Allen's stats at Wyoming, again, not a football powerhouse at all in Mountain West Conference. He only played 2 years. He played 11 games his junior year, 270 pass attempts. He finished with 649 pass attempts in his college career, more than what Trey Lance had, yes. But the similarities of what they evaluated potentially was there. And that's why he was so hyped up in the draft process, that you had a budding star of a diamond in the rough that you could take Kyle Shanahan, who was the quarterback whisperer of the NFL. he should be able to work magic with this kid and be able to turn him into an all-pro type of quarterback. But that never happened. So you had two choices. You hold on to him and you continue to have the questions that you're going to have behind Brock Purdy and say, well, hey, Trey Lance is behind you. Yes, you have Sam Darnold. Nobody cares about Sam Darnold anymore. But you have Trey Lance there waiting. You committed to Purdy. You committed to him now, making him the starting quarterback early in camp and early in this offseason. You made a commitment to him. So you had no choice but to make the trade. A little interesting that Dallas was the team to do it. Different topic. We'll talk about, I'm sure. But they had no choice. They had to give up. They absolutely had to do it right now because this is the moment that you needed to do it. The value was there. You weren't going to get anything in close to the value that you traded, but you were going to get something that at least says, you know what? We can answer the question of why we gave up. We got a 4th-round pick. Okay, we'll be fine right now. But they had no choice. They gambled, and sometimes the house wins. And right now in San Francisco, the house definitely won.
So I'm gonna Chris and Mo. I'm gonna let you guys talk in a minute. But it's driving me crazy. I've seen 2 comments in the chat, and I'm just saying that San Francisco's in win mode now. What has Purdy proven to us that he can take that team to the next level? I mean, he had one good run. Y'all. I mean, so that means we're gonna put all our eggs in a basket in one dude because he had one good run. I mean, I'm just in shock. I really am. Like it's just going over my head, and I'm just like, wow. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Purdy's a good story. He had a really good story. But I'm just not sure he can replicate that story. Mo, you're the San Francisco guy. Please tell me why this trade had to happen with you guys so maybe I can understand it better. Maybe I won't feel so blown away and think these people in the chat is crazy for saying what they're saying.
So to kind of go with what JG said, it's true. I think they brought him in this offseason, and John Lynch was like, it's make or break, right? It's why he had him play as much as he did in the preseason. He just wanted this guy to show him something that he could go off of. If Trey Lance had been lights out in the preseason, I guarantee you he'd still be on the 49ers. And we'd be talking about, well, Purdy's fighting for the backup spot now. John Lynch was really gambling on hoping this kid would have a breakout preseason, and it just didn't happen. And he gambled like that because of all the investment he made to get him. When you give up 3 number 1s and a couple of number 2s in a guy, you're thinking this guy, like I said before, is a transcendent franchise quarterback. He's going to be that kind of playmaker. And I'm not saying that he won't develop into a good quarterback, but all the things that they expected of him, I didn't see any signs of that, any signs of it at all. And I'm in agreement with everybody that. Go ahead.
No, keep going. I shouldn't.
I'm in agreement with everybody that we don't know what Purdy is. It's a great story. He had a great run. I enjoyed it. Is he going to be that same guy this season? JG, Chris hit on it. Teams now have film on him. They can look at his good habits and his bad habits and what they already know about him. Look, before the elbow injury, Brock Purdy didn't have a cannon arm. He wasn't going over the top and beating you over the top. He was just very accurate with intermediate passes, and he was very safe with the football. I would argue that he was a game manager plus. But I don't think that he won games with his arm. I just think he didn't lose games. And maybe that's what Shanahan is seeing, like, I'll bring this guy back. If he can be anywhere close to what he was last season, I can coach him up, and we can still get 11 wins out of this. So I'm disappointed that Trey Lance didn't work out, but I understand why John Lynch just gave in and said, I got to get some kind of value. And a 4th-round pick, considering that's pretty good value. It'll never match what they gave up. It never will. Like I told Chris on the morning show, the only way it'll ever match up is if they take that 4th-round pick and somehow that guy becomes a transcendent player.
Okay, Chris. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead. Ask me a question, Freddie.
So we all know how great Kyle Shanahan is.
Yes, sir.
We know how great his father is.
Yes, sir.
But we also I've seen how we've held Sean McVay,
Mm-hmm.
how we held Matt LaFleur, and others that supposed to be these offensive gurus.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, we held him to a standard. But for some reason, the media and people do not criticize Kyle Shanahan. Should this be an opportunity that we say, you know what, maybe you might not be this quarterback whisperer? Because, I mean, he missed Justin Fields. I'm pretty sure he missed others throughout the process. And this just blew up in his face. Is it time to hold him accountable?
Not quite yet. I think we need to look at the fact, guys, look at the success rate of quarterbacks taken in the first round. The failure rate is about 50-50. And if you're looking at quarterbacks taken in the first round that become franchise quarterbacks, I don't mean they start for 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years. The rookie contract runs out. The team moves on from them, a la Baker Mayfield. I'm talking quarterbacks taken in the first round who stay with the team for the majority of their career. They become the face of that franchise, and they give everything they have in their youth to that team, and they either finish their career there or when they get older, their replacement is drafted and they move on. It doesn't happen at a high success rate. I think with San Francisco, they just scouted wrong. I think they thought he was more athletic than he actually is. I think they saw a slightly less talented version of Josh Allen, who they thought was going to be slightly more athletic because they knew he was going to be a project throwing the football. They basically said as much after they drafted him. I don't think they knew he wasn't going to be this. He's not as athletic as they thought he was going to be. I think they thought he was going to have more on that side of the ball. Also, you can't discount the fact because there's this like Trey Lance support group out there. He wasn't treated fairly. He didn't get enough opportunity. It's not fair. Why they need to give him? Stop it. Do you think Kyle Shanahan? What is Kyle Shanahan doing? What does he want? He wants a Super Bowl, gentlemen, and he is going to go with whoever he thinks is the best option to get him there. If he was looking at what he invested in Trey Lance would still be there. And you see owners who do that. You see owners who say, "Well, look what we gave up. We got to start him." No, Kyle Shanahan is looking at it saying, "I think Brock Purdy gives us the best chance to get to where we want to get to." Trey Lance was outplayed in the preseason by Sam Darnold. Trey Lance is not a starting quarterback in the NFL right now. Could he be? Sure, maybe. I don't know. But if you're looking at where Trey Lance is today, no, he shouldn't be the starting quarterback, nor should he be the backup quarterback. This is just where he is. And I get it. Part of that he can't control. You can't control injuries. I understand that. It's just a part of the game. But I also think that part of this is he just isn't what they thought he was going to be. And they just didn't want to put in that kind of development on both sides. The athletic side, the throwing side, and then Purdy fell into their laps. So they're going to roll with it. And to circle back to you, Freddie, there is going to be a point where Kyle Shanahan has to be held accountable. And that point could be this season if Brock Purdy is not the same Brock Purdy we saw last year. If Brock Purdy is not an above-average quarterback and he is actually a below-average quarterback and this team misses the playoffs with Brock Purdy at the helm, that's where you're going to see the pushback against Kyle Shanahan. That's where you're going to see people say, well, wait a minute. You had Garoppolo. He couldn't stay healthy. We'll give you a pass there. You blew up the Trey Lance thing. You screwed that up. You thought he was something he wasn't. Then you got rid of him to stick with Purdy, who didn't work out. You missed the playoffs with Purdy. You said Sam Darnold was the next Steve Young. You didn't start him this year, so clearly he's not that good. That's the point where you see the pushback come with Kyle Shanahan. It's on the table, Freddie, but I don't think we're there yet. I think they have to miss the playoffs before you start seeing that. But if they don't miss the playoffs, if they make the playoffs this year, I don't think you're going to see that. Because now you have a year and a half of Brock Purdy where he made the playoffs the first year, didn't lose a game. If Brock Purdy leads you to the playoffs again this year, even if you miss the playoffs year 3, how are you going to hate Brock Purdy after he led you to the playoffs 2 of the first 3 years?
Well, Chris, hold on. I disagree with that. This is the only reason I'm gonna criticize you on what you just said on this one way. What if they go to the playoffs and it's not because of their quarterback? It's because of their run game. It's because of that defense. It's because of the special teams. What if they go to the playoffs?
It's going to be. That's what
Right.
Kyle Shanahan's system is.
Right. As it was with Jimmy G.
Exactly. So that's why I say I think it's time for people to stop saying that he's the quarterback whisperer. Because
I would actually think that proves he is the quarterback whisperer. If we don't think Purdy's a great talent, and look, I'm a Niners fan, and I don't think he's a great talent. But if the man leads you to back-to-back playoff appearances and he's not a great talent, somebody is coaching the hell out of him, and that would be Kyle Shanahan. That if we want to kill somebody for the Trey Lance situation, you kill John Lynch. John Lynch thought it was a good idea to trade 3 number ones and 2 number twos for that guy. You kill John Lynch because you're never going to get those picks back.
It's an interesting tie-in as well with this because Kyle Shanahan actually has had precedent of this situation occur in his coaching career. If we want to go back down the road, go to 2012, where they drafted Robert Griffin III and Kirk Cousins. And I know Purdy was drafted in a different year with Trey Lance, but you had a quarterback who, the comparisons kind of stopped, but Griffin actually performed and played well at times, had the injury that kind of derailed his career, which we haven't seen Lance play well at all yet. And then turns it over to the quarterback who was picked later on, and Kirk Cousins given the opportunity. He was getting the keys to the car, and Robert Griffin was ended up going to be a journeyman later down the road. We're seeing the same thing, almost history repeating itself in San Francisco, where they made the decision. Again, comparisons stopped at that point because Robert Griffin III performed, was on his way to a really good career until that knee injury absolutely just blew it up for him. Trey never had that opportunity. And we're seeing now Purdy taking his opportunity. So we've seen Shanahan be able to go down this road before. And he had some success. Now, again, I think Kirk Cousins, talent-wise, is better than Brock Purdy. And I'm saying that as of right now. We don't know Purdy's career trajectory at the moment. As far as for Shanahan and why he has not gotten blamed is because he has coached a quarterback to being an MVP in Matt Ryan, been to a Super Bowl with him in Atlanta. He's been to playoff games with quarterbacks that you sit here and scratch your head. Again, Jimmy Garoppolo is not a top 10 quarterback. He's been able to do something with Garoppolo in his career during his time in San Francisco. He did turn Purdy into a playoff caliber. Again, granted, team was really good, but he did not cost them the opportunities to make it to the postseason and even make a postseason run. So he has gotten essentially, as you're saying, Freddie, why is he being almost, left off of the blame chart as you said, other coaches like McVay, like Sean Payton. I'll throw Sean Payton out there because he's been blamed quite a bit this time in New Orleans, even when we had Drew Brees and even post Drew Brees in his career. We're going to say the same thing right now, probably in Denver. Andy Reid at times when he had Alex Smith, and I know Pat Mahomes just absolutely changed the game for Andy Reid 100%. But Shanahan has not gotten the same heat because of the success rate that he has had, turning Matt Ryan into an MVP, turning Garoppolo into a serviceable, playoff caliber quarterback, and doing the same thing with Brock Purdy currently now. Now, if they fall off, if Purdy absolutely just does struggle, like I think some of us will say that is more likely going to happen if he does struggle. Now the conversation of Kyle Shanahan changes. I agree on that side, but we have to see what happens this year first. Because there's been the success rate of Kyle Shanahan is a lot higher than the failure rate of Kyle Shanahan's coaching career with quarterbacks.
So there's two sides to the story. We touched the San Francisco side. Now it's time to go to where a lot of people call them the America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. So there's a lot of different angles we can touch this on. We can talk about how Jerry Jones did not consult Dak Prescott or Mike McCarthy. We can talk about how is this, should Dak Prescott be worried about his job? There's a lot of different angles that we can talk about. First of all, this don't make sense for the Cowboys if you bring this guy in to be your backup quarterback. Cooper Rush went 5-1 for you last year. So why are you trading for a backup quarterback again? I'm just wondering. The only reason why you make this move is because you're wanting to unload off of Dak Prescott in the next year or two. Because clearly you do not have a backup quarterback problem. You don't. The only reason why you make that trade is because you don't feel Dak Prescott can lead you to the promised land. Because you don't believe Dak Prescott can be a franchise quarterback. Because you don't believe that he can help you win a Super Bowl, which you have not done in the last 28 years. You've been irrelevant in the last 28 years. May I add to that point? And then two, you don't make this type of move when your quarterback had the season that he had last year. He led the league in interceptions. What does this do? It adds more pressure. It adds more pressure to your starting quarterback. So now, not only he's going out there to play football to win football games, now he's out there to play to save his job. He's like, you know what? I don't want to be traded. Let me make sure I make the right moves. I'm going to be afraid to make the right plays. I'm going to be afraid to do this because it's back of his mind now. And then you don't consult your starting quarterback nor your coach who has to go out there and coach this young kid, that has to go out there and draw up plays for this young kid. You don't even tell those guys. This just shows us why this organization has been irrelevant. This just shows us why this organization has not won in the Jerry Jones era in 28 years. This just shows us why they are a disgrace. I think he had like 2 more years on his contract. And by the way, you really only have 2 years of Trey Lance before you have to pay him. So what are you going to do then, Jerry Jones? I mean, you have to, in my eyes, if you can go with Trey Lance, next season he needs to start. You need to see what you have in Trey Lance. In my eyes, before you just pay a guy all that type of money, and before you move on from a guy like Dak Prescott.
Well, no, I mean the issue for Dak's contract is not that he's got a couple years left, but there's no more guaranteed money after this season. They can cut him and they don't have to own anything else, and that's going to be the biggest question mark. Is going to be is that I don't think Trey Lance was brought in to take Dak's job. That was not it in a sense. We see this all the time when teams take a quarterback and as a project type of player, and they're going to probably and maybe turn him around and get some good film on him at some point down the road, and you flip him later on to another team and you get another draft pick back. It's just we see that all the time in taking backup quarterbacks because teams are going to have injuries, and you're going to say, so you're telling me right now if a team if you have a team, let's say Green Bay, Jordan Love goes down with an injury. You can't make a phone call to Green Bay and say, hey, I know Trey's not been really that good in San Francisco, but you know he can play, though. He's pretty decent. He can be something that's better than what you have as your backup right now. We'll trade Trey Lance. Give us a fourth back. We'll get our 4th round pick back. We'll trade you Trey Lance, and you can have a quarterback now to survive the rest of the season going into next year. That teams do that all the time. So I don't really think that the Trey Lance trade was a move to make Dak afraid of his job. That was already done because his contract is no longer guaranteed with no money tied to him for next season. I think so. Dak's already gotten the warning shots. Jerry Jones has made that very clear. But I don't think the Trey Lance trade is tied into Dak's job this season and in the future. That's already been done.
Jonathan, I would agree with you, but like I said, Cooper Rush went 5-1 last year. They don't have a backup quarterback problem. They have a confident backup quarterback that can go out there and can maintain, they can hold down the fort while Dak Prescott's not there.
And that's why, and that's Cooper's still going to be the number 2. Cooper Rush is still the number 2 quarterback. Trey's the number 3. Like you just bring him in and you just say, hey, we're gonna fix you. We'll see what we can do. We'll make some project. And then, like I said, if an injury happens to a team that if a quarterback goes down for the season or for 8 or 10 weeks, you make a phone call. And you make a trade for it. You make a trade, and you trade Trey and say, hey, thanks for your time with us, Trey. Again, hopefully good luck on your new team. That's all it was. It's a bargaining chip. It has nothing to do as far as Dak, and it's nothing to do with Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush is still the number 2 quarterback behind Dak. And again, Trey's not being there to scare Dak Prescott. Jerry Jones did that himself.
You want to talk about an ego with Kyle Shanahan. There is no bigger ego, Freddie, than Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones thinks that he is a god when it comes to finding football talent. That's why he didn't consult his head coach. That's why he didn't consult his franchise quarterback. He looked at Trey Lance and said, I can make him something. I can take the one that San Francisco, who is a great organization, has basically said we give up on. We can't turn him into anything. But the Dallas Cowboys can turn him into something. And I'm going to make the trade. And then when he either becomes our backup quarterback, our starting quarterback, we trade him for something else. It can go 8 different ways. But in Jerry's mind, Dallas, and more importantly, he is going to come out looking good here because they're going to make something out of Trey Lance. And then who made that move? Mike McCarthy didn't sign off on it. Dak Prescott didn't sign off on it. It was all Jerry Jones. That's all this was. This was Jerry Jones stroking his own damn ego, saying, I'm going to make something out of Trey Lance that no one else can make out of him. And I'm sorry, Adam Hurley is over here in the comments. We appreciate the love, Adam Hurley. Thank you for joining in today. But it is absolutely blasphemous that you're going to sit here in this chat and you're going to say that Trey Lance is better than Dak Prescott. That is absolutely false. And I am not a Cowboy guy, and I am not a Dak Prescott guy, but show the man some respect. Dak Prescott is easily a top 12, top 13 quarterback in the NFL. He may not be a championship winning quarterback. He may never lead the Cowboys to a championship, but he is a B plus quarterback all day. And Trey Lance can't even win a backup job right now.
If Trey Lance was a B plus quarterback, he'd still be on the Niners.
Still be
he was a B plus quarterback, but he couldn't beat out Sam Darnold for the number 2 spot. So if you want to get caught up in potential, I got you. The problem with potential is oftentimes it doesn't get fulfilled.
I just think, first of all, I want to shout out to all our viewers. Thank you guys for supporting the Sports Empire Network. Thank you guys for following us. If this is your first time here, make sure you click the follow on Facebook. Make sure you click the little ring bell on YouTube to subscribe. You see a lot of great content. You'll see Chris. You'll see Mo. You'll see JG on the morning show, Monday through Fridays, 8 a.m. Central. You have the afternoon show, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Central. A lot of great shows throughout this network, so make sure you tune in. We appreciate each and one of you guys. But, Chris, don't you dare sit up here to praise Dakota Prescott like talking about he's a top 12 quarterback. I don't know if he's a top 12 quarterback. He's probably about 15, 16, somewhere around in there, but he's definitely not no top 12 quarterback.
Take off those Giants rose-colored glasses and show the man some respect. He is miles better than Danny Dimes. Come on now. Come on, Frederick. This is not how we're starting off this new show. Being miles better than Danny Dimes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a new rule, a new bylaw here at Sports Empire Network. You must get drug tested. You must get all kind of tests when you come on the show to say some blasphemy stuff like that, Chris. I mean, that's just crazy. I've never heard nothing just crazy in my life before. But you know what? You want to talk about quarterbacks? I'm glad you transitioned to that. I'm glad you mentioned that. This new segment is brought to you by Spotify. Oh, by the way, you can find us on Spotify. All you just do, download the app, type in Sports Empire Network, boom, you can catch us on the audio side. But let's talk about it. The top 10 quarterbacks entering this season. I'm not talking about last season. I'm not talking about the year before last. I'm talking about entering this season. I'm gonna start you off. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. He's the GOAT right now. He's the greatest quarterback in this era right now. We are living in this man's world. No explanation. Number 2, I have Joe Burrow. Hey,
I'm good with that too.
I know him won a Super Bowl. I know, but we've seen this brother ever since he entered into the league. The swag, the no quit in him. He's that dude. So he's number 2. Number 3, I have Jalen Hurts. I said Jalen Hurts. It's time to give him some love. He led the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl. No, they didn't win it, but he led them there. He's seen him have that MVP type season. He's that guy. Number 3. Number 4, I'm going with that bad man that he is. And Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I said it, ladies and gentlemen. I have Aaron Rodgers, number 4. Before Patrick Mahomes is doing those things, Aaron Rodgers was doing it before him. He is the teacher. He is the daddy. And Patrick Mahomes is the watered down version of Aaron Rodgers. I said it again. And I say what I believe, and I believe what I say.
Oh my!
Hey, and we're going to see what he's going to do in New York. He's going to lead that team to the promised land. It's going to be good. Number 5 is Josh Allen. Yes, he was a little bit higher a few years ago, but you know what? It's time for him to prove that he's worthy to be in that conversation. It's time for him to prove that he's that quarterback, that he should be in the conversation of Patrick Mahomes. This year's a big year for him. We all know that he's good. We all know he's athletic, but can you lead? Can you lead to the promised land? Number 6, I have Justin Herbert. Hey, down there in LA with the Chargers, he's electrified. He's one of those up-and-coming young quarterbacks. He has an arm. He's athletic. He's number 6. Number 7, I have Trevor Lawrence. Yes, he threw 4 interceptions in the first half of the playoff game. But guess what? In that second half, what did he do? Hey, you talking about pressure. You talking about adversity. We've never seen a quarterback come out of adversity into the second half and did what did that brother do. I have him number 7. Number 8. And make sure I don't forget nobody because I tend to forget people when I'm doing my list. I'm just doing it off the dome right now. Number 8. Number 8 gets tough. I got Lamar Jackson. I can't forget about Lamar. One of the most athletic quarterbacks that we've ever seen in football. You're talking about a guy, you hike the ball, and he can make a play out of no play. Hey, he's not the most accurate passer in football, but hey, he is a great athlete. He's gonna have a big year this year, especially after he just got paid. Number 9, my dark horse. My dark horse. Let me sit up when I say this. My dark horse. This brother here was in the conversation between him and Patrick Mahomes. I'm going Deshaun Watson. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I believe Deshaun Watson is going to show the world that he's coming back to the form that he was at. Before all the shenanigans and all that stuff was off the field going on, we had the conversation is Deshaun Watson in the same conversation as Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't Josh Allen. It wasn't Lamar Jackson. It was Deshaun Watson. I have him becoming a number 9 quarterback this year at number 10. I'm going to go Derek Carr. Number 10. What I think he's going to do in New Orleans with Kamara, with Michael Thomas, they got the weapons. They have a line. They have a defense. I believe that they're going to take that division in the NFC this year, and I believe that he's going to remind folks what he was supposed to do with the Raiders. He's going to remind folks who he is. He's top 10. That's my top 10 list. And these gentlemen here, if they don't match my list, their list won't be better than mine.
Hey,
So,
real quick.
No, go ahead,
I have a question from what I just see in the comments. Does someone really put Kenny Pickett at number 8 on the top 10? I'm looking in the comments. Someone put Kenny Pickett at number 8.
Some people are out of pocket, JG.
All right. So
some people had a drink with their lunch and they're just getting wild up in here. Freddie, who's number 11?
Dak Prescott.
Justin Fields.
Right? Oh,
See that, and Freddie, this is where the issue is. You cannot sit here with a straight face and tell me Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. You cannot.
He is. I just did.
Freddie. So look, I'll say this for the most part.
I don't want to. You're gonna say Danny Dimes is 12. If you're gonna
right,
put Fields at
I
11,
was gonna say that too.
Who knows who is 12?
No, I'm not. Ask me who 12 is.
Who's 12?
I know he had a bad season last year, but I blame the coaching and the system and all that. But Russell Wilson will remind folks who he is.
Not only do you disrespect Dak Prescott,
I like Russ. I don't
Dak
have Russ
Prescott adjacent because you didn't put Kirk Cousins on your list.
Thank you. And look, honestly, if we're talking about start of the season, everybody being even and healthy, I got Tua. Higher than that.
Oh man,
come on, man. I got Tua higher than Carr. I got nothing against Carr, but
And Fields.
we're just talking about all things being even. Tua's going to put up more numbers and be better than Carr.
Okay, hold on. Let me rephrase it because I did this off the dome. So number 10 at the 10, I have Tua at number 11. I have Fields at 12. 13, I have Wilson.
You still got
14. What? 14, I have Daniel Jones. And 15, I have Dak Prescott.
You got, wait a minute.
So
Freddie,
I still didn't hear Kirk Cousins. I still didn't hear Kirk Cousins on his list.
Kirk Cousins is
No, I didn't hear
15
him either.
apparently.
I didn't hear him either.
15 is Kirk Cousins. 16 is Dak. I'm sorry.
15? Freddie, this is a terrible list, man. This is a terrible list.
What is Dak do? Like, listen, let's be honest, you guys. Dak and Kirk Cousins are both similar players. They're both the same guy. Let's be honest. They are.
I'm okay with that. That's fine. Continue.
They're similar, but Kirk Cousins is actually better.
Exactly. That's why I put him.
They're both
He's also
better
actually
than
better
Carr.
than some of them other guys you got on your list.
They're both better than Fields.
No, they're not. Not this year. They won't be.
Yes, they are.
Well, we don't know this year, though, Freddie. We don't know. This year hasn't happened yet.
That's why I said top 10 for this season. I said not for last season. I'm talking about for this season.
Man, you should go in politics.
Freddie, this is the sports rundown, not Freddie's facts. You're on the wrong show for that kind of blasphemy at this hour of the day.
That is a wild list.
Any of y'all got a better list? I'm down to listen.
I'll go while you guys compose your list. I like Mahomes. I like Burrow. For me,
it's really easy.
I put Hurts a little bit lower, but I'm okay with him being top 5. I like Rodgers and Allen. I like your 3 through 5. I would just rearrange them.
Right.
I'd probably have Allen 3rd, Rodgers 4th, Hurts 5th. I like that you have Herbert in there. I like that you have Lawrence up there. I like that you have Lamar up there. I would not have Watson or Carr up there personally.
Me too. Same
I mean, and again, Freddie, if you're going off what you're projecting they're going to do this season, I can see why you would do that because some people are projecting a bounce back season from Watson. But I'm also watching Watson in the preseason, and I'm watching him that he can't complete 50% of his balls to third string and second string defenses. So I get it. If you think he's going to have a big year and you're forecasting that, I see why he's there. But for me, I don't see it with Watson. I don't think he's going to get back to his previous form. And if we're going off of what he did last season, obviously he shouldn't be in the top 10. But I understand that you're forecasting. So I got you there. But for me, if I'm rounding out my top 10 list, I'm going to have a Russell Wilson potentially up there, or a Kirk Cousins, or a Dak Prescott, or a Tua. They're all going to be around there somewhere.
You mentioned Russell Wilson.
I know JG's not a Russ guy. I like Russ.
Understand it. I just don't
like
understand.
Russ more than most.
I just don't understand the
like
love
him
of
more
Russell
than most.
Wilson. I just don't.
Hey, you gotta ask Sarah about that love, brother. She'll know. She'll tell you. One day she wakes up to I love Russ. One day I love Future. Oh my bad. This is for sure. All right, Jonathan. What's your top 10 list, sir?
I got Mahomes at 1, Burrow 2. That should be there should be no discussion about those two right there. And again, once Burrow gets I think once Burrow gets a ring, the conversation gets tighter. I know Mahomes has more appearances and whatnot, but Burrow needs to get a ring himself to even be in the conversation of number 1 quarterback. But for right now, he's number 2, and it's a distance. I have Josh Allen 3. Because I feel like, and I know he gets killed in the postseason. I know there's a lot of quarterbacks. Unless you're Mahomes, unless you're Tom Brady, all right, everybody's going to get killed in their own way for postseason play. All right, and we again name the list of quarterbacks you could say. Justin Herbert, he gets killed in he hasn't performed very well in the postseason just yet. Kirk Cousins hasn't performed in the postseason. Dak Prescott hadn't performed. So every quarterback, exception of one quarterback per season, is going to get killed in the postseason.
Well, and JG, you're right. Who does Allen get killed by? You're the top 2, Mahomes and Burrow. So it makes sense.
Correct. So Josh Allen, I have at number 3. I have Jalen Hurts at number 4, and going for the potential. He had a great year. I think he's going to continue the trajectory again. And I said this morning about my fantasy football team with Najee Harris. I hope the same thing for Jalen Hurts. He's my quarterback. So I'm hoping for another outstanding season for Jalen Hurts. I've had him at 4. I have Justin Herbert at 5. I have Aaron Rodgers at 6. And I think, again, I'm projecting this is the year we see Rodgers really come down to earth even more so from what he was in Green Bay last year. It's just something that doesn't seem right about Rodgers, what we've seen in years past. And I don't know if it's just a spotlight in New York now, but something just doesn't seem very Aaron Rodgers-like to me. And I think we're going to see he's got more talent around him in the skill position in New York, but something just doesn't seem right to me. So I have him at 6. I have Lamar Jackson at 7. I have Kirk Cousins at 8. I have Trevor Lawrence at 9. Number 10, I'll be the homer. Being a Saints fan, I'll be a homer. I'll take Derek Carr at 10. I'll match you with that, Freddie, because I do. If we're talking about this season, I think Derek Carr is going to have a great season. The division in the NFC South is so weak. Even Derek Carr can't screw this up.
Hold on, Jonathan. Hold on.
So I have Derek Carr at number 10.
Jonathan, hold on. Did you have where did you have Kirk Cousins at?
I have him at number 8.
And who is he ahead of?
Trevor Lawrence. Because Lawrence has done it one season.
And what has Kirk Cousins done? What has Kirk Cousins done?
He's put up good seasons. Multiple good seasons. Multiple good seasons.
What does Kirk Cousins do on Monday Night Football?
So one game versus, I thought we play 16, 17 games. Don't we play 17 games now?
This is a guy that's afraid of adversity.
Freddie, don't we play 17 games? So we're focusing on a one game, but they play 17.
This guy is afraid of big moments. He's just like James Harden, Jonathan. He's just like him. He put up big numbers, but that don't mean he's that great of a player. James Harden for years.
We have conversations about James Harden being a great basketball player. Don't we have those conversations?
Hold on.
Yes, we do.
James Harden for years put up 30. Put up 30.
So in the 5 years he's been in Minnesota, 2022, 66% completion, 4,547 yards, 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. 2021, 66.3% completion percentage, 4,221 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. 2020, 68% completion percentage, 4,265 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 13. So 3 straight years, 2020, 2021, 2022, over 65% completion percentage, over 4,000 yards passing, and besides the 29 touchdowns in 2022, 30 touchdowns or more for 3 straight years in that point. 2019, 3,600 passing yards, 69% completion, 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. His first year in Minnesota, 70% completion percentage, 4,298 yards, 30 touchdowns. So in 5 years, 2 of the years he's had less than 30 touchdowns, 29 and 26. He had the 1 year with 3,600 yards passing, but other than that, he's had 4 other seasons of over 4,000 yards.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So far in their career, who's had a bigger moment in the playoffs? Trevor Lawrence or Kirk Cousins?
We're talking about in the grand scheme of everything for what they've done so far. So you're focusing on one aspect of it.
No, sir. Right. No, sir. Don't run from the question.
Lawrence has only had 1 year in the postseason.
Don't run from the question, Jonathan. Who's had the bigger moment in the playoffs? Was it been Kirk Cousins or Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, if we're going to go back to the moment, yeah, Trevor Lawrence coming back down 20 points to the Chargers, sure, that's a big moment. That's exactly. 1 year. We've talked about Lawrence in the postseason. Let's see what happens if he has 4 years in the postseason. Well, let's see if he even makes it to the postseason. What if we don't know he is into the postseason anymore? What if we don't know that?
And how many years have we been waiting to see Kirk Cousins' big moment in the playoffs?
I mean, he plays well. He still played well last year. He played well. Freddie, but we're talking about a season. We're talking about for a full season, 4,000 yards passing 4 times.
Freddie, you would give your left pinky toe if Daniel Jones could have Kirk Cousins' numbers consistently.
I really
Come on now.
He would get rid of Daniel Jones for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and I'm seeing in the comments reminding me that Cousins beat my Saints in the postseason 2 years ago. Thank you. I have to go cry now about that part. So yeah, I mean I've seen Cousins play well in the postseason. My Saints, got burned by them in that as well. So it's not like we have it. It's not again big moment. Sure, I mean Lawrence did the big moment coming back down 20, but you could also sit there and say the Chargers blew the game that allowed Jacksonville to come back.
And he threw 4 picks in the first half.
Yes.
What kind of elite quarterback is throwing 4 picks in the first half of a playoff game?
Chris,
and what did he do in the second half?
Okay.
I'll tell you what he did in the second half. He got the defense for the Chargers that is supposed to be the elite unit on the field just forgot how to play defense. Freddie, how can you have an elite defense absolutely destroy a quarterback in the first half, 4 turnovers, and that same defense goes in at halftime and then comes out and they're all traffic cones for the entire second half? It goes both ways. You can argue that he was elite for one half of football, but I would rather have the career than one elite half of football.
Okay. So this is what we do. When it comes to Trevor Lawrence, it's the coach, just like this comment here. It's the coach, it's the defense. They let up. It was luck. It was never, we can never give credit to this brother. I mean, stop the hate. The hate is mad. I mean, I'm just saying.
Hate, there's no hate. I like Trevor Lawrence. I'm good with him. I like him a lot. I just think that for all the criticism, Kirk Cousins, to me, is a top 10 quarterback. You guys make a great point. At the end of the day, only one quarterback in each conference makes it to the Super Bowl. So somebody's got to lose. And it's just he's one of those guys that's been snake bitten in the postseason more times than most. But it's not like Phillip Rivers ever made it to a Super Bowl. He put up all kind of numbers over the course of his career, but he's had as many disappointments, if not more, than Kirk Cousins. But people love Phillip Rivers.
Freddie, how's that bad man doing when he's losing playoff games in Green Bay when he has the number one team at home and he can't put up 13 points to get past the San Francisco 49ers?
I'm glad you brought that up.
He's such a bad man, but he can't win playoff games.
He's a bad man.
Oh, he's a bad man. Got it.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought him up.
Until you get to the playoffs.
Let me answer Chris' question real quick. Hold on. Say, Chris, you want to go down that road, but you forgot you didn't bring up and say, oh, Freddie, by the way, Aaron Rodgers come up short because he had a horrible defense, or he had a team that did not believe in him. Instead of him adding to that offense, they drafted another quarterback. See, that's the things you don't bring up with those questions. See, when you bring up a question like that, make sure you add the substance, make sure you add the filler, make sure you add all the facts to the stipulation. It's not just that I only recall him choking it one time when he played against. Only one time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when he played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We all should have known he should have ran it in. But all I'm saying is, that's not sitting back like Green Bay did not put that man in horrible position. He put him in horrible positions.
So when the Green Bay defense only gives up 12 points, Aaron Rodgers, the bad man, can't put up 2 touchdowns to win that game at home. Number 1 seed.
Maybe instead of them drafting a quarterback in the first round, they had a receiver or a tight end, somebody they needed on the team. Maybe he could have.
See, Freddie, you're making a lot of excuses for that bad man.
I'm not making excuses. These are facts. These are facts. These are 100%.
These are Freddie facts, not facts.
Hey, Mo, can we hear your top 10 list, sir?
No, mine is basically the same as JG. The only where we differ at is I don't have Carr at 10. I have Tua at 10.
I'm going to tell you one thing. I can't wait till Rodgers and his neighborhood show y'all who the real team is in the AFC.
Real quick to answer that, Freddie, because I'm looking at the stats currently right now for Kirk Cousins in the postseason compared to Trevor Lawrence. And again, it's unfair because Cousins has been in the NFL for 10 years, versus Lawrence been in the NFL for 2 years. But nevertheless, I digress. Cousins has thrown 66% completion percentage. He's 1,047 passing yards in what is 5 games played, 5 touchdowns to only 1 interception. Trevor Lawrence, in 2 games of his postseason appearances, he's got a 60% completion percentage with 500 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. I'd rather the quarterback who's only got 1 interception in his career in the postseason to the 5 in 2 games.
But I will ask you again, Jonathan, who had the moments matter? Moments matter, you guys.
And the moment belongs to the Chargers for blowing the game.
No, see, we always want to give credit to the Chargers. We say, oh, it's because of them. It's because of Brian Stanley and all this. But we don't want to say that Trevor Lawrence had like one of the best second half. Like, let me ask you a question. What do you think Trevor Lawrence would have done if that was him No, what do you think if Kirk Cousins would have done if he was Trevor Lawrence in that first half? If Kirk Cousins in a playoff game, he had 4
blaming the
interceptions.
defense. I'm blaming the defense for losing a 20-point lead. Or it was a 21 or 24. It was an insurmountable lead. No team should ever lose that lead. I'm blaming the defense. Great job for doing your job, Trevor. But that should never happen in the NFL. You should not lose. And a postseason, if you're good enough to be a postseason team, you shouldn't blow a 20-plus point lead.
JG, I agree. Same thing with the Falcons in the Super Bowl. As great as Brady is, and I give it to Brady because he made plays, that's on the Falcons defense. The Falcons defense shouldn't be blowing that lead in the Super Bowl. When you get up that big with that little time to go, you can't walk away and be like, it was all the quarterback.
But some of that is play calling too, guys. Look, if they had just ran the ball and gone 3 and out, they still would have won that Super Bowl.
True.
All right, gentlemen, we have 10 minutes left to the show. Something popped up on my phone from Twitter. I don't know if they call it Twitter or X now. I don't know what they call it.
Who knows?
And this is from the Steen line, so it's very credible. And it says, report. The New York Knicks and the Los Angeles Lakers have been mentioned as teams with presumed interest in trading and signing Giannis Antetokounmpo if he decides to leave the Milwaukee Bucks. If you had to choose, what team would you rather him go to or stay? Which one would you choose? And Chris, I see you with them big googly eyes. I'll start with you, sir.
Well, Fred, I'm going to make you happy because if I'm Giannis, and I don't think he leaves. Let me start there. I think that Milwaukee will do what they need to do to keep him. And personally, I prefer parity in the league. I prefer stars, homegrown stars, staying with their team if their team supports them. Obviously, if Milwaukee is just going to turn it into a Dame Lillard thing and make half-hearted efforts, and it just doesn't – I get that. But if he does choose to leave Milwaukee, I would rather see him go to LA. Why? Because I like stars in big markets. I know New York is a big market too, but I like stars in big markets with a track record of success. And that is what the Lakers have. Would it be a great story if Giannis decided to leave and he decided to go to the Knicks and he rebuilt the Knicks and got the Knicks? That's a great story, right? That is something that, and some stars look to do that. Some stars are like, I want to be the guy known for bringing this franchise back or for getting this franchise to its first championship in X amount of time. But guys, remember this. Giannis is a foreign-born player. Maybe he doesn't think that way. You know, maybe he doesn't value the history of the game that way. It's different if if he grew up in New York and he was a Knicks fan growing up and he knows the history of that team. Maybe that's the connection he has. Maybe he wants to be that guy. For guys who didn't play here growing up, who are foreign-born and they were in Europe, wherever they were, I don't know if they all have that same kind of like desire to have that moment. So if he chooses to leave, he's going to go to the team that's going to pay him in the market where he can be a star with his best chance to win. And I think LA is probably the better option over the Knicks for that. I'm sure that some other guys on the panel can make an argument for New York, but I would pick LA over New York. But ultimately, I prefer him to stay in Milwaukee.
Listen, Eric, I'm gonna tell you this, brother. If it happened, LeBron won't be there. He'd be retired by this. I think Giannis have like another 2 years on his contract.
Yeah, LeBron won't be there.
Yeah, he won't be there. 2, it look like history repeat itself. I mean, didn't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar play for the Milwaukee Bucks? Who was he? I mean, I'm just saying. But I'm gonna tell you, if I wanted him to go somewhere, it would be Madison Square Garden. And I would love him on the Lakers. Don't get me wrong. I mean, who would say no to that guy? But if you're talking about the storylines, Madison Square Garden, the Knicks finally get their number one guy. Now it'd be a time where the opposing team won't be having big games in Madison Square Garden. You finally have somebody that plays for the home team that's going to have those big games. But, I mean, hey, we'll see. Giannis will be – I'm going to tell you, whenever this time comes, because he already said that he's not going to sign an extension next month, If the team, if he don't see the team is willing to do the things to help build a winning culture there. So this is about to be the next big story moment in the NBA for the whole season.
But what do you think he wants ultimately, Freddie?
I don't think it's about money for him.
No, I don't think it's money either. But he's not. He knows that no top free agent. Let me just, and it's not a secret. Anybody in the chat, anybody knows basketball, no top free agent is going to Milwaukee. So that's automatic. They're not going. Even though he's there, they're still not going. So the only way to improve that team, you've got to be able to pull off a monster trade. That's the only way, which means now you're talking about moving Holiday and Middleton and Lopez and those guys. And he can't say that because he didn't want to sound like a jerk. But that's exactly what he's talking about because he knows they can't get better through free agency. They're not bad enough to get better in the draft. He's talking about having his teammates traded.
And let's be honest, who's going to give value for Chris Middleton? Chris Middleton has cooked, you guys. I mean, I don't know if y'all seen him lately, but he is cooked. We hope that Chris Middleton come back to inform himself. But since that injury, he has not looked good. Drew Holiday's, you can get something for him, and Brook Lopez is getting older. So they don't really have much that you can really give up to get a transitional guy.
Right. So doesn't it sound like to me, Freddie? So right. So to me, Chris says he's not leaving. I actually think the opposite. I think he's saying all those things, knowing full well the chances to upgrade and put somebody as good as he is in Milwaukee while he's still in his prime is slim to none. So I think he's leaving. I don't know if he's going to the Lakers. I'm a Laker fan, but as a basketball fan, I would prefer he went to the Knicks. I'd like to see Jalen Brunson and Giannis build the Knicks up and make them a competitive title contender. But my gut feeling is with everything he's saying, knowing their situation, their roster construction, that guy's leaving.
And this is, I'm speaking honestly and candid here. This is partly why I don't like the NBA anymore. And I'm a fan of a small market team, the New Orleans Pelicans. And we've been burned by Chris Paul. We've been burned by Anthony Davis. And we're in the process of going to get burned by Zion Williamson here pretty soon. I mean, that is.
Hold on, John. No. See, I tell you, put substance on when you say things, sir. Y'all burnt Anthony Davis.
No.
Yeah.
He wanted out. He wanted out. We're not a big market. He wanted to go the same route that Chris Paul did. Chris Paul wanted to go to LA. He wanted to go to the Lakers. He didn't go to the Lakers. Thank you, David Stern. He went to the Clippers. But at the same time, they wanted out. They want the big market. The NBA is about marketability. It is about being able to be a brand of yourself. You cannot be a brand for yourself in New Orleans. You cannot be a brand for yourself in Orlando. You cannot be a brand for yourself in Milwaukee. You cannot be a brand for yourself in any of these small cities. You have to go to LA. You have to go to New York. You have to be in Brooklyn. You have to be in Miami. You have to be Phoenix. Becoming is a big market in the NBA to itself. Golden State and San Francisco, a big market. You go to those markets, you can be what you want. You can be the star, even if you're not a star. You can be a star. You could be a star among stars. That's what if we want to count, you just quote, Dr. Seuss and everything like that. You can be a star among stars as long as you have stars. And that's what they are doing in the NBA right now is if you are a star, you play with other stars. Well, where do stars want to be? They don't want to be in New Orleans. They don't want to be in Milwaukee. They don't want to be in Minnesota. They don't want to be in these little towns because you cannot be marketable like you can to those in New York. So the big markets have run the NBA. And we've been seeing it for Dame. Dame Lillard in Portland. Thank you, Dame, for being as long as you can. And I don't fault Dame now. I don't fault Dame for wanting out of Portland because he gave loyalty for his career to that city, and they did not do enough for help. And again, we benefited by getting the CJ McCollum trade, but they did not do him right. Milwaukee has done right for Giannis, and they won a title. They won a title for him. Now they're being handcuffed because they don't have the full resources to continue being a contender, like Boston, like Philadelphia. And I know Philadelphia's got their own issues right now, but they are in Miami. They are handcuffed, but they can. They are just, it's the fact of what the NBA is. So at times, he's now having the ultimatum. I'm not signing an extension with you guys. Prove to me that you want to win like I want to win again. Prove to me. But it goes on to what else do you have to do? You have to grow and you have to expand. You have to continue doing your resources to make sure, one, and this is where the bad side of the NBA is for the teams itself. One, you have to make sure you have enough to win now for your star, because if you don't, you're going to lose, and you're going to lose them. And then at the same time, if you plan for the future, you're definitely going to lose them, and you're not going to win either. So you're screwed either way if you're these teams, and there's nothing you can do about it.
But hold on, John, I'm not going to let you off the hook by saying this. The Pelicans ran Anthony Davis out of there. It wasn't L.A. that wanted him. Y'all ran that out of this whole time being in New Orleans. Y'all put a team around him one time. One time. That was it. You guys depended on him and said, well, it's either Anthony Davis or bust. When y'all put Rondo, when y'all put DeMarcus Cousins around him, that was y'all best chance. That was the only time that y'all put a team around that brother.
We had Boogie Cousins. We had Boogie Cousins that was basically getting ran out of the league, who had one shot to do something, and he did do something, but he was not this. Again, he was not the star that he was in Sacramento. He was getting himself almost run out of the league. We had an older Rajon Rondo. I mean, yeah, that's what we had to do. We plugged it in pieces in because that's what we have to do as a small market team. Nobody's calling us. No big free agent market team.
No, you're wrong, Jay. You're wrong, because if DeMarcus Cousins would remain healthy, that Pelicans team.
I agree with you. He tore his Achilles. He tore his Achilles. That was a. I'll give you that one. He tore his Achilles, and that was basically the downfall of him. But he was being to the point of a problem child in Sacramento. He went to New Orleans. They traded for him in New Orleans. New Orleans traded for him to say, we're going to give you the chance to redeem yourself, and he was. But he was a problem child. He was called a problem child. I can't remember who the coach was in Sacramento that basically labeled him. And I remember they said, he's a problem child here for us. And they ran him out of Sacramento.
He was playing in Sacramento. I would have been pissed too. I played in Sacramento. This wasn't this Sacramento year with Darian Fox, with Leak Monk, with the Sabonis. That was purgatory. I mean, that was purgatory. And coach is absolutely right. Don't bring up Philadelphia, no title contender. This is a team that what can go wrong will go wrong. They are the Cowboys of the NBA. If there's two teams that were just like the Cowboys in the NBA, it's the Clippers and it's the Philadelphia 76ers. Because you know
Philly was mentioned by me because they're the big market Eastern team.
That's what he's talking about.
They were just the big market Eastern Conference team.
I'm just going to say this. A lot of people they love to pick on Ben Simmons. They love to pick on Markelle Fultz. They love to pick on Doc Rivers. They love to pick on a lot of these guys. Doc Rivers, Tobias Harris. But they don't want to criticize Joel Embiid. He's had his shortcomings down there as well. Hey, he's not the savior either. Hey, Jim, do you guys have anything else? I must say, so this was a great first debut of the Sports Rundown.
I enjoyed it.
And this is the veteran crew. I think this is the veteran crew. I think this is a heck of a debut. What do you guys think?
Oh, absolutely, a lot of fun. As I tell you guys, I tell you all in the mornings, I love doing this. I love talking sports. I love debating. This is a lot of fun for me, and I'm enjoying it with you guys again.
This is a good little spot here. Happy for you guys. This is a nice little spot you got going.
Look, it'll be fun to do this every day. Once we nail down who the actual afternoon crew is going to be, because we still don't know who that is.
Hey, but it's in the works. Sports Empire Network got a lot of great things going on. This is just one of the newest shows to the network. Mo have a new show coming in the works as well, a late night show. Have a lot of great things going on here, Sports Empire Network. We have the Big Dogs of Campus coming very soon. That's in the work. Have a lot of great things. Want to thank Chris, JG, Mo. Want to thank all the viewers. Want to thank all the people that tuned into the chat. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing. We really appreciate you guys. This is the Sports Empire Network, another episode of the Sports Rundown, the first episode of it. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central. Have a few people making their debuts on the Word. So hey, tune in. We're just starting. Hey,
Good show.
Marlon, we appreciate you, brother. You always in the comments support. We appreciate you. Much
Always
love to you.
looking out.
Yes, sir. Until next time, y'all. We're out of here. Peace. Hey, Dak Prescott is in the top 15 quarterback, by the way. Just had to throw that out there.
This guy.
Later.